the story of a bodybuilder named Bill Pettis. Now, Bill Pettis actually didn't achieve very much as a pro bodybuilder, so that's why his name isn't that big, but he was known as having the biggest biceps of all time. They were measured to be 23 1/4 inches, and this was confirmed by Joe Weider himself, and they were bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger's 22-inch biceps, and also bigger than Lou Ferrigno's 23-inch biceps, with Arnold and all those guys and having bigger biceps than Arnold at that time period. So people would see him walking around at Gold's, and next to Arnold and next to all these other guys, his arms would look absolutely massive. So even though he didn't compete, he had one of those famous physiques within the gym, because within Gold's Venice, you had the best of the best bodybuilders, and then you had this freak walking around named Bill Pettis that had bigger arms than all these guys. 23 1/4 inch arms are still huge, even by today's standards. And again, throughout his career, he mostly made his money as a bouncer, a bodyguard, and was intermittently homeless. And sometimes Joe Gold would provide him a place to sleep, maybe let him, kind of live in the gym. So another claim to fame that this guy had was he was in a photo that appeared as an advertisement for the 1984 Olympic Games. And there was a picture taken of him training at Muscle Beach. So those were his two claim to fame. Two claim to fames: having the biggest biceps of all time, in his own words, and then appearing in that 1984 Olympic Games advertising poster. So Joe Gold died in 2004, and that's when Bill Pettis' downward spiral really began. Like I said, Bill and Joe were very close, and Joe seemed to take very good care of Bill, even though Bill, didn't work, didn't have a job, he was homeless. I believe Joe Gold gave him a few bucks here and there and kind of gave him a safe place to stay. So when Joe died in 2004, this is when Bill Pettis began to drink very heavily, and that's when he officially became homeless. So that brings me to the very sad story of recently. Bill Pettis was found dead near a lake, or actually near a creek in Pennsylvania, and the cause of death, I guess, was drowning in this creek. And the sad part of this story is that when they found his body, all that he had with him was a little black box. And inside that box, all he had was old photos of him as a bodybuilder and old photos of him with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you can tell that his whole life was dedicated to bodybuilding and kind of those old golden days with Arnold. And he kind of never got past that point. He never had a career beyond that. He never had a job beyond that. That old classic era of bodybuilding was really how Bill Pettis defined himself. It's kind of a sad story that he ended up homeless. He ended up kind of crazy. I mean, as you can see in some of the photos that I showed you guys, this guy was walking around Muscle Beach, fat and flabby and old in posing trunks. And this guy probably had a few screws loose towards the end of his life. But it's a very sad story. He died at the age of 69. And again, they found him dead next to a creek in Pennsylvania. And all he had with him was that little black box with old black and white photos of him and Arnold. So it's a very sad story. I think it's important to keep in mind that this does happen. There are bodybuilders like this that get obsessed with the sport, and they can never really get past bodybuilding, and all they want to do is go to the gym, and they kind of want to live in the past. And then guys like this guy, they end up dead, they end up homeless, they end up, not having a job. This was also the case with a bodybuilder named Rod Kuntz. So this is something that happens to bodybuilders. I think it's important to kind of bring this up and remember these guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you were entertained. Please give it a thumbs up. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.